No excuses. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how young you are. I don't care what the limits are that you think you have going on in your life right now. Just know.
Hey now, how is everybody doing? Welcome to Red Alert Diaries with Tanya E. Hood. Today we have a special guest joining us, Miss Vernicia T. Green. Hey, Vernicia, thank you so
Hey,
much for
hey.
being here.
Thank you, Tanya. I'm so excited. You are welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right. Now, before we begin, I have got to introduce you to everybody. Now, for those of you that have not yet had the opportunity to meet Venetia, she is a licensed financial professional who educates middle income families on becoming financially independent and creating generational wealth. She is passionate about empowering kingdom minded people to create a wealth plan that extends for generations, influencing them to launch businesses, write books, and direct a portion of their wealth toward God's work in ministry and in the marketplace. She is also a relationship transition coach. She'll explain a little bit more about what that means later. And the founder of Stepping into Purity and Beyond for Single Women, as well as the author of her premier book, Stepping into Purity. So, Bernicia, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
All right. Well, I am from Portsmouth, Virginia, Tanya, and I nickname it P-Town. It's the Virginia Beach area, about 30 minutes from Virginia Beach. And if you're from that area, you call it the 757 or Seven Cities. That's where I am from originally. Then after 30 some years, I moved to the DMV, DC, Virginia, Maryland area. And I lived in Northern Virginia and then eventually moved to Maryland after I got married. So, with my career, you might wonder how someone was able to do all the things that they were doing all at once. So, it wasn't all at once. I am like a combination of a couple of industries. So, one, I started off not too long after college. I started off into IT, and that was for a bank. And while I was at that bank, I was talking to people about their problems, and I just wanted to help them. I didn't want to work with numbers, and I didn't want to move accounts anymore. I wanted to help people with their problems. So God made a way for me to go back to school to Regent University for counseling. So my undergrad is in business, Norfolk State University, the green and gold. And then my master's is at Regent University. I graduated in human services counseling. So this was my time to officially help people. And the door opened for me to volunteer. And at that place, at a pregnancy center, I ended up not just volunteering, but shortly after training, I got a job and I worked in the industry for 20 years. I'm sorry, I'm dating myself. I'm not that old. For 20 years, I worked at a pregnancy center in that industry. And man, the lives that came through those doors and the roles that I worked, I really thank God for that. And that really took off my counseling career. Now I do some grief counseling, some counseling for single women, leadership development, coaching, things like that. And so a little bit of everything. Shortly, or as I was at the pregnancy center, I started feeling the pull to want to be back into owning my own time. So I didn't say this because you all probably say, how in the world does she get from doing hair to IT and now counseling like this girl? So anyway, but I used to be a cosmetologist, an entrepreneur, owning my own time, and as I was earning income. And that was always on my heart. I even worked that part time as I worked my full time job at the bank and IT. But I started wanting my own time. It was time out with the 9 to 5, with the clocking in and having to be there, asking permission to be off of work. I was like, this is coming to an end fast. So one of my friends who had joined the financial industry in 2012, and she talked to me about it too, but I didn't get it. I walked away from that opportunity because I was like, I don't even know what she's talking about. I know I needed help, but I didn't know what she was talking about. And I just wasn't ready. There's some seasons that you may be in, and people are talking to you about something that you need to pay attention to, but just for some reason it doesn't click. I'm sure that you all can understand what I'm saying. But 6 years later, I chased my friend down. And you can ask her. I was like, Tamisha, I need help. Whatever I need to do, I need help and I need it right now.
So let's talk about that because you have shared a lot of reset moments. So, one, thank you so much for sharing your reset story with us and giving our audience an idea about you can pivot through different things. But you said something that caught my attention. You said something about there's a season that you're in where things have to go through. You sound like you're in the midst of a brand new season because you got this excitement and a glow about some things that we were talking. Can you give us a little more insight about if someone knows that, hey, where I am is not quite where I want to be? How do they make that change? Is there something that you can share with them about all the different changes that you've made to help them get there?
Yeah, lots of transitions. And I will say this, they've been prompted by the Lord because I call myself a calculated risk taker. When I say I'm not a risk taker, my girlfriend's like, what? Like you left a corporate America job with, as my parents would say, fringe benefits, and you had a house, you had a car, and you went back to school without that. That was a faith move, y'all. The Lord has taken me through faith transitions one after another. I'm not a person that just hops one place and hops another. Let me tell you something. Sometimes I just want to stay forever for stability because I think that's stability. But this is the thing. When you have the gift of faith, which I do have the gift of faith, there's movement that like God has to fuel that testimony with something. You can't just say you have the gift of faith and you never walk by faith. Okay. So I left IT industry because I felt strongly led by the Lord to change my passion, my career to counseling. And I needed the flexibility so I could do the work. And then as I worked the 20 years in the pregnancy medical clinic industry, I started feeling a little restless again. And that was a long stretch. But I started feeling restless, like I think my time is coming to an end. But I didn't know what was ahead. So when my friend joined the financial industry and she talked to me about it, I knew I needed help with my finances. I knew I needed to get my financial house in order, but I wasn't sure when. Now, look, get this. This is the story. I knew it was clear and I could not wait to get to work to ask my boss for my job back. There was no shame at all because I did not want to be in the wrong place. If any of you have ever been in the wrong place and you knew God wasn't covering you, I was desperate to not be in the wrong place. I've been in the wrong place before. So I went back and had a conversation and she's looking at me and I was like, the Lord told me it was clear. And shortly after that, I went to my journal from a couple of months before that. And at a conference, an entrepreneur conference, the Lord told me that it was not time for me to leave my job. Now, I'll tell you this, you're probably wondering, well, why in the world you resign? Because when I'm in the zone of journaling, I don't quite know what's going on until I go back and read. Have any of you been in that situation? You've been in a tunnel vision, you're journaling what you think the Lord's saying, and then you come out of it. So I never went back to read my journal. You all, this is a side note. This is a bonus. Go back and read your journals. If you're looking for direction, the Lord probably already told you, go back and read your journals. Okay. So I worked that job for 5 more years, 5 more years. Because guess what? What happened in 2020? This was 2019 when I resigned and then went back and asked for my job back. And everybody's making comments, not unkind comments, but I was like, honey, I was holding up my head high because I was going to be in right position. I thank the Lord for keeping me from leaving. Anyway, 2019, just a few months later, it was the pandemic. What? So one, I was going to have income through the pandemic. Thank you, Jesus. But I also was going to help navigate the the company through the pandemic and all the changes that went around that. And the Lord was delivering me from fear of dying. I lost two family members during that pandemic. And I didn't want to be around anybody. I didn't want to breathe. I was wearing a mask at work, almost fell out, all of it. And the Lord was healing me along the way. But after the fifth year, it was time for me to go. And I had come back into the financial industry because when I met my husband, he was a financial professional. And when I met him, I said, man, I think I'm going to end up back in this industry. And I had been praying about it because I quit, but I didn't feel good about it. And so I knew I was going to meet a husband, a man who I was going to do business with, but I didn't know who it was and I didn't know what business. It was already spoken to me. And so I trusted that word and I was waiting for it, but not forcing anything, right? So anyway, I met my husband. He was in the financial industry. I was praying about going back into it. And so we now do business together. It is wonderful. I love couples in business who are doing business together because you leverage one another's strengths. And we are working hard in our strengths to be able to build generational wealth for our family, to be able to pay off our debt. So we are working on our finances while we help other people. And it's one of the most rewarding businesses I've ever been in. I can also schedule my own time. I can be with my parents. I'm helping my parents now as they're aging, and I can just take my computer. I can do appointments from there. I can help people, and it's so liberating. So it's almost like all of my faith moves have brought me to this fruitful place. And it's hard work, it's rigorous, it's up and down. If anybody knows what business ownership is, but we are working on creating passive income so that later on in life, when we get too old to work, we can enjoy our lives because we can enjoy the proceeds that have are still coming even in older age because we built passive income.
So let's unpack a couple of things because some individuals may wonder, like, this fear and anxiety is real. You should have just listened to it, but you're talking about something else. Not everybody can understand the prompting of praying and sitting and hearing God's voice. For some individuals, let's break down a quick touch point because I just had this conversation recently. Fear, if we ever really sit in the midst of what the definition of fear truly is, it's a real and present danger. It's something that can actually do something to you like now, like because our brain is designed to protect us. So fear is a good thing. And God does not want us to not have fear. He just wants us to put the fear that we're dealing with in his hands and listen. So that listening thing that you're talking about gets clouded with anxiety. So let's talk about anxiety real quick. Anxiety is that thing that you imagined. People think it's real, but no. Anxiety is your made up stuff about the future that has never occurred. And if you ever look back on your past, it will never occur because all those past things you were anxious about, a lot of that never manifested. So when we are walking through hearing you say, pray through the process, you have the fear and anxiety, and you felt the prompting, not everybody knows what that is. So what I like to share is that urge. A lot of people say it's an instinct. For the conversations that Venetia and I have, we have come to a clear understanding that that instinct is God. That instinct, that's the Holy Spirit giving you insight that where you are, there's greater. That inkling to think that there's greater. I want to encourage you, and we want to implore you. Think about that being a download from the creator of the universe into your being and let Jesus join you on the journey so that you can step out on fear. Do the discovery path. Let's talk a little bit more about your discovery path because your discovery path is leading you to something amazing that's happening, Lee. Talk about what's coming up.
Well, Friday and Saturday, June 6th and June 7th, we are going to have, and I say we because Tanya is one of our dynamic speakers. We're going to have a conference, and it's a prophetic birthing encounter for women. Yes, women and men. If you want to come, you can tag along. Women anointed to heal, build, and prosper in that order because we want to work on ourselves first. We're talking about fear, we're talking about anxiety, places of being stuck, places of even the reason why we're stuck is because of unforgiveness or because of trust or because someone betrayed us and we just like, well, I'm not doing that anymore. Or maybe things didn't work out the way you thought they were going to work out. So we're going to work on that first. And then we're going to work on building. We're going to hear testimonies and stories from these speakers of the way they built their business, their coaching program, the way they built their book and published it, the way they started that ministry and the people, the resources, the time, the energy, the money, all of that came together during that time. Now, the launch conference comes from my personal business step consulting group. And the way that started in 2013 was by way of a networking event that I used to have first in my home. And then I started having it at community centers. And then I moved to Northern Virginia and I was like, well, I don't really know anybody here. I don't know any entrepreneurs. I'm just like, I know a few people, but they're like an hour away, but they're not entrepreneurs. So I held it close. I tried to launch something online. It didn't work, just didn't work well. And then this year, or last year, I'm sorry, last year in 2024, it was time again. It was time to not only do a networking type of event, but it was time to launch a conference. It was time to bring speakers of different areas in business ministry and different authors together in one platform and invite other people who are pregnant with purpose to come to this event. And if you only have conceived an idea, you will leave with a plan. Maybe you have a plan. You will leave with a resource. Maybe you have already launched your event, your endeavor, but you need to be refueled because life has come, adversity has come, and it's swept you off your feet. This is going to be a place of encouragement, a place of empowerment, and we expect God to minister to the people who will be there so that you all can come up. And I say you all because you're going to register. You're going to go to bit.ly/the launch conference and register so you can get the link because you're going to leave with something that you never anticipated. And I can't even tell you exactly what you're going to leave with because there's going to be so much richness in that room that it's an individual encounter that you'll be having. But I know that you'll have a few nuggets that you can implement. And we're also going to have some surprises. We're going to have prizes. We're going to have some time of reflection. We'll have time for you to share. And when you're in a community, when you're going to launch something, you need to be in a community of people so that you can get what you need. I remember first coming into business and I didn't get a loan. I'm sorry, it's been a long road. I didn't get a grant. It's been a long road of paying for things personally to support my business. I know there are people out here that do that. But now, because I'm a financial services professional, I can help people create income to be able to fuel their business, fund their ministry, and have the money they need to be able to afford to do it without borrowing. See, in the kingdom, people who follow Christ and live according to the word says that we are the lenders, not the borrowers. And I want to make sure that you know how to go out there and get it led by the Lord, not hustling aimlessly and you don't really know what's going on, but led by the Lord, that you know how to go out there. And as it says in Deuteronomy 8, you have the power to create wealth because there is a plan led by the Holy Spirit, led by God. So, Tanya, I am so excited. I'm so glad that you're one of our speakers. I always love hearing you speak. I love how you craft together a powerful message that leaves us with so much wisdom and writing notes profusely. So, I'm going to get a new notebook. I'm going to get a new notebook. We have Tanya E. Hood, Tracy Lyles, Shira Lowe, Tamisha Udaisy, Carol Bush, Anjali Schrader, Mary Parker, Sandra Price is our MC, and we'll have Mary Ann Trainer and Monique D. Francis. Look, you all, with the creativity in the room, we have people talking about creativity, compassion. We have people talking about the call, the commitment, the crushing, the conviction, the cash flow. Somebody say cash flow. We need that. We need that in our businesses. I know you all can really resonate with that. So, Tanya, thank you so much for this opportunity to share what all we're going to be doing on June 6th, starting at 6 p.m., June 7th, starting at 1 p.m. I look forward to seeing you all there.
Now, you all have heard some amazing things, but some of you may be wondering, the Launch Conference 2025. This conference is designed for breaking barriers and building legacies. It's a prophetic encounter for women anointed to heal from the past heart wounds that bind us. Here, you will build kingdom ministries, businesses, and books. Here, you will prosper according to the will of God in this global marketplace. Click the link so that you can participate in this unforgettable, life-changing event for the glory of God. Can't wait to see you there. Is it really for me? Can you give a quick synopsis about the people that should show up in this room? Because it's not just for first-timers. There's so much that you've already explained, but make it clear who should be at this conference.
Who should be there? You should be there. If you are still locked into this podcast, you should be there because you are pregnant with purpose. God has planned for everyone to have a purpose to fulfill in the earth. There's an idea that you have. There's maybe a business that you want to launch, a business idea. Maybe you have a ministry. You're a Christian. You want to launch a ministry or a nonprofit, and you've been wanting to do this. You've been burning with desire and just not knowing which way to go. Maybe you're comparing yourself with somebody else in the industry and saying, "Well, it's already being done." No, it's not being done by you. Maybe you're an author. You want to create a course, or you want to speak on certain topics related to your book. You should be there.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Anne. As we begin to close out, you told me that you have a special gift for our audience today. Can you share a little more about that?
Yes, I have a gift for you all because yesterday The early bird sale ended at 11:59 p.m. But for you all who are watching this podcast, if you click on that link today, it's going to have a different cost than it did yesterday. Yesterday was $47, and I want to extend that offer to you. So email me at Vernicia at step-consultinggroup.com, and I will gift you a ticket at the cost of the early bird price. So Vernicia at step-consultinggroup.com, and you can pay $47.
Thank you so much for that, Venetia. And you all have heard. I will make certain I put that information down in the comments below so that you can get the chance to get your beautiful gift and join us for the Launch Conference 2025. Venetia, thank you so much for pouring into our audience today. Is there one last thing you want to share before we go?
One last thing I want to share with you is to not wait. Don't let fear rob you. The fear of who's going to be there, and am I going to relate to them? Am I going to, as they are they going to see me as weird? You can't let fear rob you. Tomorrow's not promised, and we need what you have. Do not let this chance slip by you. You already have a $47 ticket you can purchase. My goodness. You have Tanya as encouragement. You have my email address. If you need me, we can get on the phone and I can just tell you more. So, no excuses. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how young you are. I don't care what the limits are that you think you have going on in your life right now. Just know you belong at the launch conference.
Thank you so much, Venetia, for empowering those that you support on a regular basis and sharing your reset story with us. We need more people like you. And for those of you, make certain that you register. And now, if anything that has been shared today resonates with you, then you know it's time to reset. So like, comment, and share this information with others. Make certain that you show them the one something that you're making that decision, that feeling, or we're no longer going to walk through trying to figure out what that feeling is. Venetia's already shared it with you. That is the creator of the universe asking you to let him join you on the journey so that you can make the moves that you need in challenging times that we find ourselves in. And you can get insight and strategy poured into you at the Launch Conference, June 6th and June 7th, 2025. And if you want someone to join you on the journey, feel free to go to my website, TanyaEhood.com. There you can click under the Work With Me tab and see the various ways that we can work with one another. In the meantime, this is Tanya E. Hood walking in my purpose, and I want you to do the same.